What's going on? What's going on? Good evening. Welcome to another live broadcast of Smashing Kidney Disease. I am your host, Steve Belcher. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be an awesome show tonight. If you undergo outpatient hemodialysis, and if you ever had a situation at the unit and it never got resolved, or you have a situation now and you don't know what to do, tonight is the night to learn what you can do to take your life back. Now look, we all know issues goes on in the units. In fact, there has been patients that have been labeled troublemakers because they had a legitimate complaint. There are patients that have been blackballed or asked to leave the unit just because they complained about something that was right. So share this broadcast. Again, we have a great guest tonight. We have Sade Cutler, CEO of My Empowering Impact, here tonight to share what you can do as a renal warrior to navigate through the patient grievance process. And it can be, it can definitely be challenging. It could be maybe a little bit intimidating. I don't know. I never had to do it. But I know one thing, there's a lot of patients out there that have legitimate complaints that some get addressed and some don't. So we're going to navigate through this. You know, patients have rights and responsibilities. A lot of them don't realize that. You know, when you first start dialysis, you sign these papers. Right in the admission packet, they have the patient grievance policy and they have patients' rights and responsibility. And DaVita's patients' rights and responsibility about that thick, about 20 pages or so. And it just lists your rights and responsibilities. But when you start dialysis, you may not feel your best on that first day you come into treatment. You got to sign the papers and they're going all over this information. You just want to get on dialysis and get the hell out of there and get back home. And you say, okay, just make me a copy. You put it in the manila envelope and we give it to them. And then when you take it home, you just may put it down because you're tired. You just had dialysis. So basically what I'm saying, you may not get around to see your rights, your patient's rights and responsibilities. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce our guest again, Sade Cutler, licensed clinical social worker and CEO of her own business, My Empowering Impact. So let's show some love for her. Bring her right on with our special intro. Hey, Sade, what's going on? I love your smile. What's going on?
Nothing much. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you for coming on Smashing Kidney Disease and being a contributor, consultant, social worker to discuss important issues that impact kidney patients. Now, before we start, just share you already shared your story, so we don't have to go into that, but just share a little bit, a brief history of your experience in clinical social worker working with kidney patients.
Okay, well, of course, you already said it. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I used to work in a dialysis clinic, and I do have experience with people with chronic illness, disabilities, mental health disabilities, and things of that nature. Um, in dialysis, patients undergo a lot of different challenges, and I have a lot of experience with helping them navigate through those challenges, such as work related issues, stress, grief, depression, and some of those things come along with having to just do dialysis on its own. So I have a
Mhm.
lot of experience with just helping out in that area with dialysis patients.
Absolutely. Wow. Now, let me just say this. There's 700,000 people, more than 700,000 people each year that gets diagnosed with kidney failure. So there may be some people watching this that don't even have kidney failure. But let me tell you, if you're here tonight and you don't have kidney failure, that means you must supposed to be here to watch this show, because 9 out of 10 blacks have stage 3 kidney disease and don't even know it.
Mhm.
There's 5 stages. Now, Sade, what a lot of people don't know, and it's unfortunate because I've seen it working in a career with a lot of minorities, when this disease hit them and they hit that dialysis unit for the first time, and when you see them, I mean, a lot of them, a lot of people, I don't want to say the majority, but you see some people that may be like bewildered, or uh, like they can't believe this
Mhm.
is happening to them. Can you share some of that, of what you experienced with patients who started and they didn't know they had kidney disease, and all of a sudden this is their new normal? Touch a little bit on that of your experience.
So a lot of patients, they have explained that they were not aware of how they got to where they were. There are some that did not know that kidney disease was even linked to their diet. So a lot of them kind of just crash in the emergency department. They're not feeling well. They having a lot of fluid retention, just anything is going on, and they end up going to the hospital, and then the hospital may tell them, "Oh, you need dialysis." So about time they come into us, they're like you said, bewildered. They're shocked. They can't believe what's happening, and it takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot for them to take it in. So a lot of times we have to sit there and educate them on what they'll have. Like, I'm your social worker here. I'm here to deal with a lot of your social issues, a lot of your mental issues, and then you got to see the dietitian, because as we know, a lot of dialysis issues are linked to the diet. So a lot of them are saying that they talked to their doctors and they didn't know, and some of them have been prepped, but a lot of the African Americans and minority groups often say that they did not know that they were headed down the road of cancer,
Mm-hmm.
even though they were diagnosed with hypertension or diabetes and things of that nature. They did not know that this was a possible end result.
Yeah. And speaking of diet, let me just say, Dad Vice TV, James Fabian, who is the host, um, every Tuesday, I believe at either 6 or 7, has a dietitian, Jen Hernandez. That's every Tuesday. So, guys, if you need some information on dietary, you got James Fabian on Tuesdays, and we're going to be coming out with our own show as well, just to make sure everybody gets this information, because you can't never be short of information.
Mm,
So now, Sade, let me just tell you what I'm going to be um, reading from the document, and you may be familiar with the network.
mhm,
And then also, I'm going to want you to explain and talk about the network. But I have this quality insights from Renal Network 5
mhm,
and patient grievance policy. And this is something that I got from AAKP last year when they had their 44th annual meeting in Washington, D.C.
mhm,
So, um, if you're in Network 5, I'm not sure what states that cover, but I know Maryland, D.C., Virginia, and some other states are included in that network.
Yes, it's Maryland, it's DC, it is West Virginia, and I think those are it might be one more. Maryland, DC, Virginia, and West Virginia. It's those four.
Okay.
It's,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you're in those states and you have an issue, your issue, if you go through the process, it will end up at the Network 5. But I'm just going to start from the beginning and go through and just break it down for warriors to let you know what your rights and responsibilities are and how that applies to you as a kidney patient. Now, again, a lot of patients on dialysis don't know, or they may, I'm not saying a lot, but this is stuff behind the scenes. And unless you involve yourself in it, then you're going to know about it. But the average, let me say it like that, the average patient don't get caught up with network stuff and federal regulation and Medicare. They just want to get their treatment, get well, maybe get a transplant and move on with their life or whatever they do. But let me start from here.
Okay.
So federal regulation 42 CFR 494-70 requires dialysis facilities to ensure that patients are aware of their rights and responsibilities. This education must include the patient's right to file a grievance. Is that true, Sade?
Yes, that's correct. That's
so
correct.
This is federally mandated.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Now, now let me finish, and then I want to go to a situation you talked about when you came on our last show. The network, Quality Insights Reno Network 5, believes that every patient should receive quality care. The network can help dialysis patients with concerns about their care. If you have a concern, the network's role is to serve as an investigator, facilitator, referral agent, coordinator, and or educator. The purpose of the network in a grievance is to, one, keep communications open between patients and ESRD facility staff on issue, problems, or grievance. Two, ensure problems are solved as quickly as possible. Three, help patients feel comfortable taking their concerns to an appropriate authority without fear or mistreatment or retaliation. And last, 4, help patients through the grievance process. Okay, now let's unpack this, because with that being said, Sade, what I just read, how do we get to blackball? How do patients get kicked out of units, end up in emergency rooms, and for some, like, I can't think of her name. Oh, I'm sorry, but her husband, I'll come up with her name. Her husband was a kidney warrior, and he was resorted to go to the emergency room because he fell into that blackball stereotype, and he ended up passing away. Now, how does something like this happen when we have federal regulations saying that patients are supposed to be this stuff is supposed to be resolved quickly? How does this happen? Can you just elaborate on that?
So the thing about that, Steve, is it's always, two sides of a coin. You always have people that have the written documentation of what should happen. And then you have the real world of things that actually happen. So most of the time you come into dialysis, this is in layman's terms what that federal regulation is saying, is when you come to get your treatment, you sign these documents, you give consent, and we let you know that you have the rights and responsibility to get your treatment, deny your treatment, be respected, to be treated fairly. All of these things are what they're saying that you have the right to have. So what happens is when the patients go in, things happen. Sometimes, like you mentioned before, sometimes a patient might not feel well. Sometimes a patient might don't come in for treatment, things like that. So it's like a double-edged sword when it comes to it, because when you're dealing with for-profit organizations, they have a way of doing things. So if a person is supposed to be on the chair, that's how they get paid. So when people are missing treatments, it's not just about the health to them, it's also about the money. And when you are a patient that sometimes misses a lot of treatment, sometimes they want to put another person in that spot. And it could be for whatever reason. Sometimes we have people that have comorbidities. We have people that have been diagnosed with cancer, and sometimes their chemo schedule might interfere with their dialysis schedule. To the naked eye, that seems like, okay, we can just move them around. And it seems like an easy fix. But sometimes when it comes to uh, agencies and these organizations, they don't view it like that. So they'll end up blackballing or getting somebody out for reasons that's not even a reason of their own. Then we have some patients that are not complying with certain things. So that would be a reason for them to try to get that person out. That's why I tell people you have to utilize your resources. If something is not going right, you have to document it. You have to advocate for yourself. Documentation beats conversation any day.
Right. Now, Sade, you made a reference that made a good point, and oh my God, I saw Courtney. Hey, Courtney, and it kind of slipped my mind. Um, wow, you said something that hit on the head, um, pertaining to when the patients come in there and they sign the documents. Oh man, I'll think about it.
Mhm.
But yes, that's very true. Now, when that happens, when they sign these documents, oh my God, I had that. It was a good question too.
It'll come
What?
back.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you: when patients are diagnosed and they have a legitimate concern, why are they blackballed for legitimate concern? And they keep, if they don't feel like the facility is, addressing it, and they take it a step further, why do they fall into that category of being a problem patient?
It's when you go against the grain or when you speak up for yourself,
Oh, I got it. Go
um,
ahead, keep going.
you risk retaliation. That's why they even put it in the federal regulation, because they know that people cannot put their feelings aside when it comes to certain things. You understand? People
Right.
take things personal. It's not even personal. It's really you providing a care is business. So sometimes people take these things personal and they want to retaliate. They want to get revenge just for their own purpose. So that's a lot of times how you get people to be blackballed. See, people will start to turn to take a paper trail on you when they want you out because you have put them in a position that they do not like. So if you're doing something or you're challenging whatever they have in place, or you're speaking up for yourself, or you're advocating for yourself, a lot of times people do not like that. So when people see that you are a strong person and you're not going to just let things go or fall by the wayside that are correct, that should be done appropriately, that should be done right, then they view you as a problem instead of looking at themselves to change whatever it is that they're doing.
Mm,
And that's how you end up having people
mm.
get blackballed.
Wow. That was powerful. Wow. Now, this is what I wanted to say. I got it. I'm getting old, but that's okay. But look, a lot of patients don't know, Sade, and then I'll move on. A lot of patients don't know, say they may be first shift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is the golden shift because people want to get in there, get out, and it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so they got their Saturdays free.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know, like you said, some dialysis patients have other comorbidities. So what if they had to go in and get something done to their heart, or they had an accident, they got to go in the hospital and get surgery, which after surgery, they got to go to rehab. Bottom line, if they're away from the unit over 30 days, they can give that seat away, can't they?
That's correct. Yes.
And so when they come back from the hospital or nursing home and they think they're supposed to be there at, say, 6 o'clock, and they show up, their seat is gone. They say, no, you're on the last shift now. Now they got to find transportation that they may not have to bring them in the evening. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about the 30-day rule and what you mentioned about patients who may have private insurance and they can get their chair if patients who may be non-compliant that that don't come in and then they come in on the 29th day.
So when that happens, a lot of times you have these people, they have these other comorbidities. Like I said, they might be out, like you explained, in rehab. So when you're out for that long, the dialysis places do have the right to fill your chair. And a lot of people do feel like that's unfair because you're thinking, this is a problem that was not anything that I've done. This is not a problem that I've caused on myself. It's something that just happened to me. Why should I have to basically forfeit my chair? But it happens and they are allowed to do it. So those are the things that people need to get together and do things like what you're doing, Steve, to advocate for certain changes, to see what can come about, or to speak up for yourself. That would be a perfect time to even actually to file a grievance and to state why. State your cases why. Why should I, even though you have the right to give up my chair, I have been here. I've been on time. I've been coming to my treatments. I've been doing this for however many years or months. I want to be able to get back to that spot. How can I get back there? How can you help me with that? This works for my schedule. I've been accustomed to this. What happened to me was not my fault. So those are the things that you can try to advocate for yourself. But those are where the lines are drawn too, because when things come to legalities, if they can legally push the envelope and is well within their rights, sometimes people are just going to do it just to do it. Sometimes people can be nice and help out, but they just don't want to.
Right. And that's a shame. But see, that's why I guess I do what I do, because I've seen these injustices. I've seen not just white, black, and just patients as a whole lose their chair or just get double shafted. And so I feel like God gave me the purpose to do these shows like this. So even if you're not on dialysis, you may not be able to use this information now, but just keep it on, keep it in the back of your mind. Maybe your mom or your dad or your loved one they may go on dialysis. And the thing about it now, what you got to really be careful, if your mom or dad is on dialysis, I don't think they're letting people sit in a unit anymore because of COVID. So you have to take them in there, let them get their weight, and almost depend on the technician to hopefully, help them gather their belongings. I mean, you got a whole range of patients, from ones that can't help themselves get out the chair to ones that get in the chair and get out and keep it moving. So you just don't know when it comes to a patient assignment. So these shows are very important. That's why we always ask to share, because you got So many clinics, patients down south, patients out west, up north, east, overseas, UK, all over the world globally. And I don't know internationally if they have the same rights if they apply, but it should seem like it would be a universal patient rights when it comes to kidney disease. So,
and it's so unfortunate because when people say that it is universal across the board, because when you really think about it, we have renal networks for every region, every division, everywhere. Every state is inside of a renal network. And one of the things that patients have to learn how to do when they're advocating for their health care is speak up for things that are not right. The grievance process is there for you to state what is happening. There are some people that they say they want to file a grievance or they complain, but they don't have an idea in mind of what it is that they want. They don't have an outcome, a remedy. They don't know what it is that they want. So one of the things that I try to teach people when advocating for themselves is, what do you want from this? So the first thing, when you find out that you have an issue that is going on that you don't feel is going to be resolved or that may not be resolved, you want to start to try to resolve the issues. They first always say you should try to resolve it within your facility or wherever you are. It's supposed to be the right thing to do. But sometimes the monster that you're dealing with. So some people aren't comfortable. It can bring on stress. It can bring on anxiety. It can cause fear when you have to file a grievance. So you may not be ready. One of the things you want to look at is what is happening, what is occurring that I have an issue with. For example, let's just say you've been put on the wrong bath. That's an issue. It's been happening over and over again.
Come on now.
You notice it.
Wow.
And at that time, those are the things that you have to remember. Okay, I've been put on the wrong bath. I've been put on the wrong bath more than once, and I have the days written down. So that's the problem. So you identify the problem. You already said the dates. You want to know when it occurred. You want to know where it occurred, which is in the facility, of course, and you want to know who is responsible for this. Who is my tech? Who is the nurse? Who is who did this? Is it the order that's wrong? You want to know that. So when you file your grievance, you want to have those things aligned. This is what happened. This is the issue I'm having. This is the concerns I have about it happening. And this is what I want to happen as a result of it. What do you want? Do you want to make sure that it never happens again? Of course. Do you want to be moved from the clinic for it? Do you want someone to be reprimanded for it? What is it that you believe should happen because of this occurrence? Complaint that you have filed. See, some people say a lot of things, but they don't want to you don't want to put it in writing. It can be a handful and it can be a lot, but that's when you start to be taken seriously. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, you can bump it to the next level, and you have concrete evidence, concrete documents to go there with, to let them know that you take your health seriously.
Let me ask you something. So that means it's very important that patients, once they start treatment, that they should know everything about their treatment, because I want to be honest. I used to work in dialysis, and that happened to me. I put the patient on the wrong bath before, and I took them off, and they never knew. So, I mean, no harm was done because I realized the problem within a reasonable amount of time. They didn't run the whole treatment. However, you do have staff that, because of the fast pace of the unit, can go there and think they grabbing one particular bath and grabbing another and put it there, and the patient could run the whole treatment, and no one knows that the patient, the way it should happen, the charge nurse should pick that up when they do assessments and they come around and you check the bath and you check the orders and make sure everything is right and correct.
Mhm.
But if the charge nurse don't do that, don't go behind the technician and make sure everything is according to the doctor's treatment order,
Mhm.
then stuff like that can fall through the cracks and the patient would never know. So that's why it's important to know your treatment, to know what bath you're on, to know your
Yes.
blood flow rate, your needle size, your heparin, everything about your treatment that the doctor ordered for you, because it's a dose. That treatment is considered a dose.
Correct.
And you need to know, just like you know your prescription of your medicine, you need to know the prescription of your dialysis because it's measured in dose.
Right. That's absolutely correct. And that's one of the things that I used to tell my patients. You you have this healthcare team that is there to support you. But at any given time or day, your healthcare team can change in the blink of an eye. There is no
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that your nurse is going to be your nurse. There is no guarantee that your tech is going to be a tech. There is no guarantee that your social worker or your dietitian are going to be there as well. So if you don't know how to take care of you, then other people are not going to know how to take care of you. Yeah, they have this prescription that they're supposed to watch, but if they make a mistake or they don't do what they're supposed to do, it's still business as usual for them.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's why they had on multiple lawsuits. And
mm-hmm.
it goes back to the fundamental saying, to err is human.
Yes, yes,
I mean, it's rampant in the hospital and in the medical practice, human error.
yes.
So look, Sade, so what if patients say, what do I do if I have a concern? According to this literature, it says, first try to speak with the facility social worker,
Mm-hmm.
director of nursing, or administrator about your concern. Your facility should have the steps for its grievance procedure clearly posted. You are encouraged to allow the facility to address the issue first. However, this is not a requirement, and the network will become involved if one, you are not comfortable first handling the issue at the facility level, and two, you believe your concerns were not resolved at the facility level. So, what happens if patient gets infiltrated? Now, let me just say something about that. If have you ever, let me just ask you this question before I comment. Have you ever got a complaint about a patient being infiltrated?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Now, do you know in the consent form it has some of the complications that can happen and it states infiltration?
Mm-hmm. So you saying like in the consent forms, it's saying that infiltration is something that is possible to happen.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So
I say that to say they have their bases covered, because if a technician infiltrates a patient, that's just part of that process that could happen.
yes, yes.
So when
So
you can't complain.
so the complaint comes in a lot of time with the patient infiltration is when patients have said that the techs aren't watching what they're doing when they're sticking them, they're not using the right needles, or they have had issues with a specific tech sticking them, and they did not have issues with other techs sticking them. So that can become a grievance because the person has made you aware that, listen, I'm monitoring what's happening. Every time I'm on a machine with this person, I end up infiltrated. But on these days that I have this person or these different people, I'm not infiltrated. And it's been a pattern. So that is when you start to come into the meat of things. Because, like you said, the bases are covered. You're saying, oh, it can happen. It's human error, which is true. And people shouldn't be crucified for human error because none of us are perfect, and sometimes things just happen that are beyond our control that we can't, that we can't fix or something like that. However, if it is a pattern of doing it, and you can just simply move the patient to somewhere else where another person may do better with that person, those are the things that you can really fix and resolve if you just take the time to do so. It doesn't have to result in grievance, but when people don't pay attention or don't listen, you end up having a grievance come, and that's valid. They can still get off on it to say, okay, well, we said that infiltration is a part of it, but you are able to further it, and you'll have a little bit more meat and potatoes when you take it, when you complain about it, or if you have to take it outside of the facility.
Wow. Now, this is something interesting. The next question on this form, it says, will a dialysis or transplant facility know that I have filed a grievance? And then the answer is anonymous grievances can be processed. However, it is more difficult to gather information if the grievance is anonymous. You will be informed if that is the case. We will not proceed without your consent. So, were most of your, did you see a lot of, well, if they talk with you, then it's not anonymous, but can you actually, if you file anonymous grievance, can the issue get resolved? I mean, I can see if it's something to do with maybe, trash in the unit, or something that staff is not doing, going against protocol, that may be putting patients' lives in danger, something you observe. But when it comes to yourself and you want to resolve that issue, how can you file an anonymous grievance if it pertains to yourself?
Okay, so when patients are able to file an anonymous grievance and be able to tell the actual social worker. And I know what you're saying, like, well, that's not really anonymous. They're the one talking to you about it. So what happens is, although they may voice their concern, tell what their complaint is to their social worker, they may also identify that they don't want to be they don't want to be identified. So when you put the grievance, when you file the grievance, you would state what the case is, but you won't put who or what told, or who or what patient told you about the incident. Now, sometimes you can figure it out because people might have an idea of something going on. But like you said, if it's a grievance, like something not being done in the unit, like you said, trash around, something not being cleaned appropriately, it's pretty yeah, that's pretty hard to identify. But it is, if it is the person specifically, it depends on what it is. We are able to still take the grievance and anonymous and have it anonymous. That's the patient social worker relationship, but the chances of it being anonymous to a certain degree is kind of slim depending on what it is. So
Right.
that one can get a little tricky.
Now, do they inform the transplant people as well if you file a grievance?
No, not that. I don't know what somebody doing behind the scenes, but absolutely not. That's not what's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to inform the transplant team of a grievance. No.
Wow. Wow. Now, let me ask you something. And I'm just gonna put it out there because I've seen it. Have you ever had a patient come to you that had complained to you that the staff treated them bad? Meaning, now I've seen this happen where patient may always come in late or something like that, and you may have staff that patient come in late and the staff been there all day and they stay waiting for this person, and it's gotten to the point where they're like pissed off, but you can feel it. And when a patient comes sit down and they say hello, staff don't say nothing, and they jabbing the needles in and tearing off the tape and just flapping it on and starting the treatment and walk away. Have you ever had any patients come to you and describe such a scenario like that or similar scenario?
I think that is one of the big complaints about that. I think that is not an anomaly type of complaint. That is pretty much a complaint that you hear often. So yeah,
Mm.
yes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because um, you know, I kind of blame the company and how they set this operation up and want to always have those chairs operating and trying to run a tight shift
That's
and
what a
save
lot
money.
that it's so crazy because that operation is what causes a lot of grievances. That is what causes it because they run based on how many patients are there. So sometimes if you have like a part or unit or a pod that is let's just say full, and then another person comes in and they might be late, that will make them not want to take that one late person because they would have to have another person to run it, which they look at as tapping into the labor and things like that. So those decisions are made, and a lot of times patients are getting upset about it, but it comes from behind the scenes. You understand?
Hmm.
Like
Oh,
if you
absolutely.
take the complaint and you get it and you take it, it's almost like it's kind of enmeshed in how the operation runs. So you get it and you'll try to deal with it to a certain extent, but some things aren't going to change in that capacity because it's tied to how they do their business. That's just their business. Once you get on the machine and you run, that they're looking at that. That's that time, that's the money. And if someone else called out or another patient is not coming and they have a worker there, they might try to get somebody else to run and let the other person and send the other person home. It's about
Hmm.
the labor and cost things there.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'll move on. Glorious asks, she says, and I want to address that right quick. She says, can a patient call in advance that they'll be late? Absolutely.
Yes, and that's
Absolutely.
yes.
But that is encouraged. However, there's a caveat to that.
Hmm.
If you're 4 hours, you're on the last shift, and you're an hour late, you're not going to get your 4 hours. However late you are, they're going to deduct that time. So that means you're not going to get your full treatment. So you
Hmm.
could be late, but you're not going to get your full treatment. And
Hmm.
then if you work and you come in the evening, and if you're a little bit late in the evening, they're going to cut your treatment.
Mm.
Because people want to get out of there. They've been there 15, 16 hours. So if you're even 15 minutes late, they want to take you off with the last patient. If you're the last one off, they want to take you off with somebody who comes off before you, who's the last one. That's just how it works.
Mm.
So let me ask you this. On here it says, can someone else represent me? And then they say you may appoint a representative or someone to help explain the problem. In this case, you may choose anyone you wish. If you have a representative, Quality Insights Renal Network 5 must have your authorization for this person to process the grievance on your behalf. Now, if someone represents you, can you still be blackballed if someone is representing you?
Yeah, yes, it's ways around everything. Of course you can. Yes, that the answer is just simple. Yes, because even though that part of it is typically for the patient themselves, A patient sometimes is not able to speak up for themselves, or they're scared to say something. And sometimes when you get a strong person with a powerful voice that's going to speak up and say what it is that you can't say, they're going on and interceding on your behalf, just like a lawyer would do. Lawyers really, I know they really repeat what you tell them, but they're going in on your behalf, and they're kind of like the shark that's taking the heat right there while you behind the scenes. That's what that advocate or that person does that you appoint. So yes, they still can take it out on you, because some people will feel, oh, she's just going to get someone else or get so and so to represent her. But again, what you really want to do is let people know that you take your health seriously and you want the problem to stop. You are not complaining or filing a grievance to play around. You're filing a grievance to get a result. That's what I want.
Right. Wow. Oh, Angie, thank you for being an advocate. Also, my friend Jen Benson, she's a firecracker. She tell it like it is. She was on dialysis, and they couldn't stand her, but she was right. And she makes a comment right here. She said, I think one of the fears patients have is if they launch a complaint against a tech or nurse, they will be treated poorly during future treatments. Have you heard that from patients who come to you?
Yeah, that's a realistic fear. You ever heard of people say, don't play with anybody that mess with my food and my health? People really have a true fear of that. Like sometimes when someone's cooking for you, it's like, oh, I'm not going to say too many things. I don't know what they're going to put on my food. And when you are being taken care of in a healthcare setting, you are vulnerable. You don't know what they can do. You don't know what can happen. So you are fearful that the person might get upset and do something to you that you won't even be able to explain what they done.
Right. And you know what? The piggyback on there, you're right, because I'm trying to think of her name. Kimberly Seance, the DaVita employee who injected bleach.
She killed all those patients.
Yeah, she killed maybe like 3 or 4 patients by putting bleach
on a machine.
Yeah, right? Putting bleach in their lines while they're on the machine. Yeah. So this was 2008, guys. You can look this up. Yep. A nurse who murdered dialysis patients in Lufkin, Texas. I happened to be working as a travel nurse in Houston at the time. And that was a crazy case.
Oh my God.
So now, Sade, on here, they have that grievances have time frames. And the way how they summed it up, it says, according to Network 5. Now, do all networks supposed to work the same way?
That I do think that they all piggyback off of each other, but I can't say that every last one works the same, because it might be some differences or nuances in each one. So for the most part, they typically do, but I can't say for sure that they all do.
Oh, Angie says, what I do, I let the patients bring forth the issues, then back them up. I educate them. Okay. Yeah. Now, so this is, according to this is how their grievance time frame goes. It says the network staff will determine the appropriate method for processing a grievance. Most grievances can be resolved in less than 5 days. Network staff will notify the grievant by mail on the next business day if a case is referred to another agency. More serious cases may be required to go through a quality care review. In these situations, medical records are requested. Staff and patients may be interviewed, and other provider records may be reviewed. The patient's written consent may be required. Then it says every effort is made to complete all investigations within 60 days. If the case is not closed within 60 days, all parties will be advised of the delay and when it is expected to conclude. The patient or her representative will be advised of whom to contact if not satisfied with the network's processing of the grievance. And then it has, last but not least, a follow-up contact may be made to you at the conclusion of the investigation. This contact is to determine your level of satisfaction with the grievance process. Your participation is voluntary. Now, have you seen grievances go past this 60 days investigations?
You know, that part, so we have in-house grievances, like it said in there, they kind of deal with their things on a different time scale. Like I said, it could be resolved in 5 days. I believe I've been in ones that had to be resolved in about 10 days. So in-house, they can say that they resolved it. They say, oh, okay, this is how we gonna resolve it.
Right, they got that internal form.
Right. Then when I've seen it get escalated to outside agencies, that's a different ball game, and we might not know exactly when it ends, because I don't know if you know this, Steve. When you see the surveyors come in and they start deducting points, or they about to talk about shutting facilities down, and those type of things start to occur, so it can a grievance can spark that type of investigation. So sometimes it could be resolved in the 60 days, but they found some things that need to be corrected that could go outside of that time. So sometimes we might not know exactly what is happening as a result of the grievance. So
wow.
like sometimes a lot of things can spark up from a grievance.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was just reading something that's very interesting. Why is it, again, for Medicare, patients' rights and responsibilities? Now, under it says your rights. It says I have the right to be, and we're going to do a show. We're going to do another show, guys, a follow-up just on rights and responsibilities, because we need to dissect the rights and responsibilities. We'll be on here for hours trying to do it, but we're going to have another show, so be on the watch for it. But why is it says under the rights, I had a right to be told about and to choose my treatment options, including those not offered by my dialysis unit. When you hear that, but yes, you hear patients say they've never been told about home dialysis.
That part is so tricky, because sometimes patients say that they haven't been told about home dialysis, and a lot of times it's because they didn't have the proper education prior to coming into dialysis. So sometimes if I am the social worker at a facility, I'm going out to educate them on the treatment options, and they're like, why? No one ever told me that I could have did peritoneal dialysis or did it at home. So then they start to get the education that they need from me right there on the floor. But then they're kind of upset, because they're like, why the doctor didn't tell me that I had that option? Why did I just get sent to in-center? Why didn't I just get referred to PD dialysis? Like, why? So that can happen a lot. After social workers are responsible for educating patients on treatment options anyway. So you're going to get that education throughout the time that you're in dialysis about PD and home hemo and options of that. A lot of times, some people don't really talk about other options that are outside of dialysis, because it can be a little uncomfortable to talk about, because some people are depressed, they don't want to do dialysis anymore. And when you just want to come completely off dialysis, you're starting to talk about that palliative care type of thing, that hospice care thing. So those options are also available to people as well. But I don't think a lot of people rush to discuss them. You should know that you have that option, but that's more of something that a lot of people don't like to go down that route.
Yeah. You just gave me another idea for a show. So yeah. Do you hear a lot of when you was working in dialysis? How often did you hear from patients that say they couldn't take it no more?
Oh man, you hear it all the time. Just a simple I mean, you can have people feel like they can't take it no more because the transportation that day was late and they're just tired of having to wait. You can hear them say that they can't take it no more because they're just frustrated at what's going on at their dialysis facility. You can hear a person say they can't take it anymore because they don't understand why their numbers are keep coming back off and they're doing everything that the doctor or the dietitian has told them to do. So anything can push a person over the edge when they are tired or just having to deal with a chronic illness.
I know. So as we come down to the hour, man, we got so much we could talk about.
Yes, we can go on and on and on, Steve.
Yeah. I want to put a couple of comments up because I do want to address some comments. A lot of people were gracious enough to comment and to watch the show. I want to see where Jean. Okay, so Jean, she says definitely they do not like the strong patients. I watched everything that was going on in the center for my entire 3.5 hours. I stayed awake and watched my machine throughout my treatment. If you complain or see something not done properly and bring it to their attention, you are definitely labeled a troublemaker. They prefer the older patients that are either out of it or sleeping rather than the coherent ones that show concern or are aware of their surroundings. Did you have patients like Jean that were
I,
very in tune with their treatment?
I had patients that told me, they're like, I'm not even closing my eyes. Like, they're like, I am sitting here awake for the entire treatment. I don't care if it's 4 hours. I am paying attention to everything. And that's what you try to tell the staff. Like, you shouldn't even have to tell people to do what they're supposed to do because they should just know to do what they're supposed to do. But a lot of times you have to kind of let people know, like, listen, do your job, but you're also being watched. So just make sure that you're doing your job as well. It's not hard. Sometimes people make things hard when it doesn't even have to be that complicated. But I have had many patients that comfortably told me that, yeah, I watch everything. And I don't blame them.
Yeah. I mean, I encourage that as well. But some people, with dialysis, they may be tired and fall asleep soon as the machine cut on. Because I know when I used to go to the dentist, soon as I sit in the chair and they lean me back and start working, I fall asleep, and I'm afraid of the dentist. But I know I just say that to say I see a lot of patients when as soon as they get on, they may have just came from work or done something, and they may be tired. And that may be the only time they can actually get the rest because they may be dealing with insomnia.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But most of the time when you see something like that happening, it's because a person really just doesn't trust their environment. When people
Oh,
can't
absolutely.
sleep, that means that they don't trust their environment.
Wow. So Gloria wants to know, which I know you can't. Can the patient video what's going on? We've been seeing a lot of patients video from the units and stuff like that. They can videos themselves, but you can't videotape another person because of HIPAA laws, right?
Right. You're not supposed to. They don't. It's always pretty much cautioned against because of HIPAA. And sometimes even when a video is on, you can hear people talking or saying other names. So most of the time, you are advised not to. But sometimes, a lot of times, videos, you're always a business and agency and organizations are always going to not want a video, period. They're just not going to want a video because videos can catch a lot of things that's happening. Like we see that all over the internet now, like a lot of things get
Mm-hmm.
caught on video. So of course, it's a HIPAA violation if you videotape and things like that. But and that's just that.
Right. I know it is what it is. But yeah, Angela, absolutely. Please share a broadcast with some of your patients you work with, and then I want to bring you on to share what you do as well, Angela. We want to hear your story. But as we close out, Sade, I mean, we definitely got a lot of topics that
Mhm.
you can elaborate on. Like again, the rights and responsibility. A lot of patients don't know about conservative treatment and not even having to go to dialysis, that they have that option not to do dialysis. I'm not promoting that, but that is an option that
Mhm.
many patients are surprised to know about. So guys, just be on the watch. But as we get ready to end the show, Sade, okay, let me see. Before I ask you the question, talk a little bit about what you do online, being CEO of My Empowering Impact.
Oh, okay. So, I have a private practice and I am a therapist. I provide therapy for a plethora of mental illnesses, depression, anxiety, and stress related disorders, things of that nature. My specialty group that I deal with is perinatal mental health issues, people that have had trauma and complications postpartum and things like that. I also see dialysis patients as well because a lot of
Oh man, that's awesome.
yes, I have a lot of dialysis patients that are experiencing grief. And a lot of people think that grief and loss is associated with actual death when it does not have to be. Grief and loss can come from you grieving the life that you once had, how you had freedom, how you didn't have
Mm.
to get up 3 days a week. So I definitely have that population that I deal with too. Anything with like disabilities, I'm pretty good at as well. That's a specialty group. Everything I have converted online now because of COVID and safety issues. So we have gone fully telehealth, even with providing clinical supervision to new social workers that are coming fresh out of school and providing continuing education credits to licensed therapists that need to renew their license. So we're doing a lot around here and just trying to advocate and get out there. So
That
help one person at a time.
oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, do you take insurance? How does that work? Like, if somebody sees you on here and say, "Wow, I want to reach out to Sade
Oh,
and talk to her," what would they need to do?
so they can always call. I have a website. It is www.myempoweringimpact.org. And I have online forms. So what you can do is do a referral and you can do a self referral. The referral is pretty easy. You just give your name, your date of birth, your insurance information, and the reason of why you are interested in getting therapy or services, and you just submit it and you will get a call back. And we have a phone too, of course, if you want to call in and have questions. And I also have an area on the website where you can just ask a question. Some people just want to just simply ask certain things, so it's a area where you can message me and ask whatever question you need to.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, so I got this the website, right? www.myeempoweringimpact.org. So guys, I mean, this is an awesome licensed clinical social worker who knows her stuff and that cares about all lives. And if you have anything going on mentally and you think that Sade may be an assistance to you, you can reach out. I mean,
And I'm on social media too. The business page is with like valuable advice on stress free and things to do too. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So they can always follow me for inspirational quotes, tips
oh,
and
I've
things.
seen that. Yes, I've seen your inspirational quotes. Absolutely. Now, as we go, what can you share with renal patients watching this that attend outpatient or even people who haven't even started dialysis that's at risk, that may be in one of the 5 stages? What can you share with them about just this whole dialysis experience and patient grievance? and
Okay.
what you want them to know about, starting new in dialysis and knowing what you need to know to navigate through this experience. So if you do come into having to do this, what should be done?
Okay. So when you are in the process of having to file a grievance, most of the time you've contemplated about it, you've thought about it, you have gone back and forth in your mind about it. Don't be afraid, be encouraged, and advocate for yourself. Always document. Documentation beats conversation. You'll get more done that way. Always go in knowing your facts. What has happened? When did it happen? Who is responsible or who was involved with what happened? And decide what it is that you want from it. Sometimes people can't help you because they don't know how to help you, or they'll send you around the mulberry bush because they don't really want to do what they're supposed to do. So you give them the remedy of what you think it is that you deserve or what it is that you need. And just be encouraged. Just be encouraged and know that you got resources to reach out. If it's not happening inside your facility with you filing a grievance, you can always go outside of your facility and don't give up.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. Thank you, Sade. Definitely
No
appreciate that.
problem.
And guys, look, again, as I always say, where you going to get this type of information? 10:18 at night. Two professionals trying to educate and let you know about this process. Because again, more than 700,000 people, millions of people are undergoing this. And if, all these clinics that's popping up, of course, there are going to be some problems. And so if you're armed with the right information and they try to pull a willy over your head, you already armed with the information. You know your rights and stuff. But just one thing I want to elaborate on. When you say when they should write it down, you're saying that maybe they should take a small notepad, and if they see something that that's not right, then go ahead and start documenting and bring that little notepad with them each treatment.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's how you remember, and you don't have to like keep trying to figure out what happened. Or sometimes you're about to file something, or it's gotten too out of control, and you're like, when did this happen? Or how I can't remember the day. If you got it written down in a little journal, you go right to that journal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was Monday, September 28th at 2 o'clock p.m. There you go. It'll just lay itself out for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a book. You're telling a story.
Telling a story.
Wow. Well, Sade, man, this has been a great hour. I definitely appreciate you taking the time coming on. And like I said, I know you're going to be back on. We got a lot of great stuff planned for you guys. We just need you to share the information and engage, because again, where are you going to get this information from?
Yes.
So, hey, Sade, thank you so much for coming on Smashing Kidney Disease. I definitely will be talking with you. And have a good day. How's your son doing?
He is doing well, getting big.
Oh,
I'm
that's awesome. Is he in school doing the
no,
not
not yet.
yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. Okay then. All right. Well, thanks again, and I will be talking with you soon.
All right. Thanks,
All
Steve.
right, thanks for coming on. God bless. Again, guys, Sade Calder, licensed clinical social worker and CEO of My Empowering Impact. Again, if you want to talk to her, you got some things on your mind and you need to just use somebody as a sounding board, and you had insurance that will. Let me ask you, do you take Medicare?
I do. I sure do.
Wow.
And for those who don't have any insurance, I do self pay. And for those who are impoverished or don't have the means to pay for certain things and don't have health insurance, I do a sliding fee scale.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And I mean, if somebody's in California, they can reach out to you. If they in Florida or Alaska or Louisiana.
So typically, if it's like a national thing, that would just transform into a coaching thing. It wouldn't be insurance because it only can go as far as where you're licensed. I am in
Got you.
Virginia, I'm in Maryland, and I'm about to be in DC. So I'm gonna have the whole DMV on lock.
Oh, awesome. That's
But
awesome.
nationally, I get people that reach out to me for certain things, and I'm able to communicate with them. So we're expanding. We're getting it done, Steve.
Oh, that's awesome. So guys, if you can't listen, this is the thing. You may not even like your social worker at your dialysis clinic, because I've heard many patients say, "Oh, my social worker don't do anything. I don't like them." You tell them stuff, and it seem like they're not getting nothing done. So now you have a resource person like Sade who knows the inner outs of the dialysis facility. And if you have a question or however she may do it that you can shoot to her, she may be able to answer your question that the other social worker at your unit can't, because you may feel like that they're not getting back to you with the correct information. So, all right, Sade, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
All right. Good night.
All right, good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, this has been an awesome show. Like I said, we're going to come to you this fall. You know how they do new shows and lineups each fall on the regular TV? There's going to be like new lineups on the Urban Health Outreach Media. I kid you not. October is going to be a month that is going to be unforgettable. Several new shows coming up, new hosts. It's just going to be incredible. All we need from you is to watch, share, and even infiltrate the groups with our shows so other warriors can see what's going on, where they can get information after hours, and be able to see a plethora of shows that they may be able to relate to right here on the Urban Health Outreach Media. And if you want to see past shows in archives, go to Urban Health Outreach Media Facebook page, go under videos, and again, we have a plethora of shows that you can just scroll down. You got the Lisa Baxter Show. You got Sisters Against Kidney Disease. You got Kidney Stories with Uncle Jim. You got World Kidney News. You got Smashing Kidney Disease. You got Urban Renal Talk with Tamika and Steve. You got Warriors Quest with host Jared A. Brown. You got so many shows and new ones coming up to add to this lineup. So thank you guys for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. And again, we're going to do another show just on patients' rights and responsibilities and break that down to let you know what your rights really are, and are they being adhered to by the unit. Because like Sade said, these rights and responsibilities right here, I mean, even though the unit's supposed to go by it, it's like a broad spectrum. It's really no bounds. So it could be interpreted so many different ways that we need to talk about it so you know what's going on as well. So thank you guys for watching. Angela, God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Gloria Mungo, thank you. And tell them guys about Dad Vice TV Tuesday nights with Jen Hernandez. Florence, God bless you. I love you. I hope you're safe where you're at with the rains. Miss Jean, thank you for watching. We're going to get you on as well. Bridget, God bless you. Marchita Alvarado, thank you for watching. Jen, love you too. I know we just connected, but enjoy our conversation. Jared, Manny, as always, thank you for watching. Shamika, hope everything's going well in Florida. Let me see, Angie. Let me see, it's about pretty much the same people. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry. Lisa Baxter, if you're on here. Gloria, Don P. Edwards, thanks for watching. Coming out of your hibernation. Courtney Brown, love you. Shine Love, God bless you. Y'all go over to Shine Love's page as well. Bridget, Courtney, and Shine, thank you for letting me post this information on your page to educate other people who may not have kidney disease. So just a host of people watching tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad you saved. Love you too, Florence. And again, thanks for watching. God bless you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow on Warriors Quest with Jared A. Brown from 8:30 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, guys. Hope everyone has a blessed and safe evening wherever you're watching. God bless you all. Peace.
Uh-huh.